Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Fateless podcast episode, and we have got a special guest today in Adam, who runs a YouTube channel, The Adventures of Adam, and has been doing some speculation coverage of Godforge and Fateless here. So what's up, Adam? How you doing today?
Hey, doing pretty good. Just excited to be here. It's kind of weird. Just like hearing you do the intro. Like normally I'm like the spectator of the podcast, so it's weird to be on it for a change.
Hey, yeah, we're excited to have you. And then also joining us from the Fateless team is going to be Susie. Good to see you. How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, community manager here. And Adam is one of my mods as well. So he's one of our Discord mods. So you guys probably see him being pretty active there if you guys hang out on our Discord. He's a great
Very
mod.
active. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. That's very cool connection. Well, Adam, could you just really quick kind of introduce yourself and what got you into content? What's your gaming history, your favorite genre, kind of content you do, and all that good stuff, please?
Yeah. So what got me into content was like my first YouTube channel, I specialized in Hearthstone. And actually let's go back and talk about how I got into gaming because that kind of leads up into that. So like the first like I guess turn-based strategy game I ever played was chess. And I was in the chess club in middle school and that was really cool. Then my brother got me into Magic the Gathering. And that was like the next step up of like turn-based strategy. And then from there, I got into World of Warcraft, which isn't turn-based, but it's, fantasy RPG. And then Magic the Gathering led into Hearthstone, which led into me making content for Hearthstone. And then I quit that when I quit Hearthstone because the games change and evolve over time. And it just, eventually it started to not even be the same game anymore. So I lost interest in it. And then when COVID hit, I got into Raid, and that led me into making content for Raid, which obviously I started watching your guys' channels. And when I heard about Godforge, I was just like, this sounds awesome. I can't wait, so.
Okay, very
so
cool.
You got interested. Oh, so you got interested in Godforge because of already following like Hellhades and the crew, right? Is that
well,
what?
I've rage quit Raid Shadow Legends like probably 5 times in the
We all
last
have. That's okay.
5 years.
Oh,
And when this announcement for I guess it was just Fateless at the time.
yeah.
Came out, I wasn't actually playing Raid, and I saw the announcement video pop up in my feed over and over. I was like, I'm not interested in, because it had Hellhades' face on it. I was like, I'm not interested in Raid right now. I'm not gonna watch that. And after like the third or fourth time, I was like, I don't want to watch this. I'm not interested in Raid. And I went to click on like do not show this channel. But when I did that, I was like, wait, that's not Simon. That's not Hellhades' channel. This is something else. What is this? It's like, all right, fine, I'll watch it. And I was like, he's making a game. It's like, I was like, I'm in, I'm sold.
I wish Simon was here. You were gonna block Simon's channel? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I wasn't watching Raid content because I wasn't playing Raid. I didn't want it popping up and clogging up my YouTube recommendations. But yeah,
Messing up your algorithm over there. Yeah, I get it.
Exactly.
No, well, we're glad to have you back. Yeah, this is whether you play Raid or not, this is a completely separate thing. But I guess same genre. But yeah,
Yes.
similar to you, I kind of saw that video from Simon, and I was like, oh, geez, wow, okay. And so then coming full circle and talking with him and ended up being here. But I guess I'll let you kind of dive into is there anything that you would be curious from your perspective, or something that you would want to talk about or dive into or give feedback on, or I'll kind of let you kind of run the flow here. You're the guest.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think in this genre, there's like 3 like main things that you have to nail. It's like combat, characters, and customization. Sorry, I something like that. Yeah. So the combat, I've seen a little bit preview of the combat, and it looks like I like the turn-based nature. I like the strategy aspect, and I think that the ultimate system you guys have adds an extra layer of strategic like complexity. So I think that's really cool. I think you guys have nailed a really cool combat system. The characters look great. They look like characters that everyone's going to want to collect. Like their abilities look cool. Their animations look cool. Like the aesthetics look great. So the only thing that I'm like, I don't want to say concerned about, the one thing I haven't seen yet is like how much customization there's going to be for those characters, like the gearing system, masteries, blessing, like all that stuff. Like I'm curious to know like how in depth the character customization is going to be.
Yeah. So one of the things that we want to make sure we do is we don't go too far away from what people who love this genre want to have in a game. But we also don't want to copy other games or do, we want to bring our own stamp on the industry and kind of evolve the industry, hopefully in a better way. So I don't know what Simon's leaked and hasn't in terms of mechanics, but you will definitely have the level of customization that you would expect. You will have plenty of options for building and diversifying and having your hero be different from your friend's hero and comparing builds and all that. There will definitely be up to or surpassing the industry standard in terms of customization.
Okay, that's really refreshing to hear, because I don't want to say I was worried, because like knowing who's on the team and knowing their background, it's like obviously, I have faith, but like not, that's like the one thing, like everything else you've nailed so far. So as long as you nail that too, I think it's going to be a great game, and I'm really excited to play it.
Yeah, and it's also you go ahead, Susie. I'll jump in after you.
One thing they have talked about was the customization with like mastery type system in the form of the community finding things, right? Like hidden ways to get special sorts of masteries, but that's quite a complicated thing. But even that alone shows that there's going to be something different, but still really customizable. So beyond the gear itself, there's going to be a lot to give your characters options for sure.
Yep. And then one of the tough things about being super transparent is that people are going to see something and get a first impression, but we still have a lot of time to cook, and these things are going to get polished, and they're going to get min-maxed, and they're going to get better. So basically any game, when you see it 2 or 3 months in, it looks nothing like when it actually releases live. So give us another 8, 10, 12 months to cook, and these things are going to start to polish a lot better and look a lot smoother and get even better than kind of what you're seeing right now.
That's awesome. Yeah. So Susie was talking about the masteries earlier. So if people are, I know a lot of people are starting to join the Fateless journey or into Godforge and stuff, so they may not have seen it. Like several months ago, you guys did a whole podcast with YST talking about like achievements and unlocking the mastery. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. I'm really excited for that system. Like every time I go into Minotaur and I have to spend like 2 days worth of, because I'm a free-to-play player, that's sort of my specialty in recovering content and raid is I'm doing like a free-to-play rares only plus challenge where I'm like progressing through the game using only rares, uncommons, commons, and champions who are free and permanently available. So trying to grind out masteries as a free-to-play player, it's like, yeah, I could spend the gems, but I'd prefer to just use my daily free energies. It takes like 2 or 3 days just to grind out masteries for a champion. And to do that every single time you want to build a champion, it's like, it's a grind, So like, I'm really excited to see this achievement based unlocking mastery system that you guys talked about. I think that sounds really exciting, and I think it's going to be a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, you will get one of the things we're kicking around is you will get more than just your masteries when you're grinding masteries. So there'll be like a double dipping type of mechanic. So you still get a little bit of dopamine, you still get a little bit of other progress instead of just spending 4 days worth of energy to get the masteries of one hero. You'll get a little bit of other things going on with that mechanic.
Okay, cool. So in the some of the demo footage that we've seen, this is a completely different topic, by the way.
Hit it. Whatever you want to discuss, we keep it casual on here. It's all good.
All right, cool. I made a whole list of stuff I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit. So in the demo, we see when the skills are highlighted, they appear on screen, and it obviously shows the skill description. And a lot of people have been noticing that there currently do not appear to be any sort of booking system in place. Is that just because it hasn't been programmed in the game, or do you guys, what's the plans with that? Is that, what can we expect, I guess is what I should say.
Yeah, it's a good question. So obviously everything is subject to change because we still have time to produce things, all the normal boring caveats, but there will be some sort of, in our game, there are probably going to be abilities. There will be some sort of ability upgrade system where, a fully maxed out hero will have, you know, better skills that do more damage, or better cooldowns, or better ultimate charge as you upgrade the abilities. We don't have the exact systems ironed out to a point where I can specifically tell you, you know, oh, what's it gonna cost in terms of dollar value? What's it gonna, but there will be some sort of ability upgrading system in place.
So is that what those Roman numerals at the top right corner of the hero portraits are representing, or is that something completely
Not
different?
necessarily.
Yeah, not
Okay.
not necessarily. Again, it's tough because I want to be transparent, but
Yeah.
I wish like Simon and Sham were here.
Me too. I was gonna grill them
but
on these things.
I know we have all the
but
people. It's fine.
but that is a different thing
Okay.
than abilities. Yeah, and that could still change a little bit in terms of what it means, but that is a different way to progress your hero. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think one thing that's really funny is we get a lot of questions about people asking us everything you could ask about a game. And it's like, we haven't even figured it out yet. Like, there's so many things. They're like, oh, what are your banners going to look like? What is your monetization? I'm like, we're not even there yet. Let's be honest, like one thing at a time.
Yeah,
I
step
think
one
that's
is
one thing
make a
people
great
have to
game.
remember. Yeah, we have to create a character to play with first, and then there needs to be environments to play in. There needs to be bosses to go against. Like, before we even look at, I'm sure, I mean, obviously we have structures and things planned overall, but the exacts are so subject to change this early on. We're still at like a pre-alpha stage, and the
Yeah.
alpha will be like our internal testing, and then we'll go into the more wide beta. So like I think people think we have it all already there just because they see gameplay, but we've only actually physically have a small part of the product.
Cool. So, another thing I wanted to ask is like, how does it feel to be on the other side of the content creator ecosystem? Like this time around, you guys are the ones making the content, or the game, so to speak. And then, how does it feel to see like other people making videos about the thing that you've been working on?
I love it. I love watching those videos because it's always interesting when you know, and then to hear you do a video and speculate like, oh, this Roman numeral right here, I bet it means this. And when you know the answer, you're like, oh, okay. So it's very fun to be on the other side of it, and I love it. Hearing the good, the bad, the speculation, it gives us an opportunity into what outside perspectives are thinking, and if we're either headed in the right direction or things that we could, you know, soak up as knowledge to do better, or what people think something is. Oh, they must really want that. So then we start talking about that. So we do try to watch all the content, whether it's a small creator, a medium creator, big creator. We try to kind of keep an eye on what's out there and what people are saying.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and I guess for me, as like the community manager who's going to be the one who is dealing with content creators like you directly, for me, it's so fun to be the one that's going to be I always say, I'm the banana, the bunny, depending on what game you play. Like, that'll be me. And that's one thing that I think is just exciting as someone who I've been a part of so many content creator programs. So in my head, I just want to make sure that I can help deliver the experience that I would expect as a CC to all of you with Godforge. Like, I want to be a very integral part of that process of making sure that you guys feel heard, have the resources you need, have communication. It's overall, like, I'm really excited for that. Like, it's really fun to be the person that's, instead of me being the person that's yelling at the CMs for not talking to us or not giving this, or why did you do this, or where's this thing? Like, I feel like I'm always the person that's, I don't know. I'm looking forward to being on the flip side. It's been fun so far, and I'm happy that we're already starting it with our Friday leaks, right?
Yeah, I actually didn't do a video or anything because I've been at work all week, but I did see a couple other people post theirs, so I thought that was pretty cool.
What's going to be interesting is, you know how, I mean, we all know as gamers and creators, but when you're playing a game and you always have these thoughts in your head, like, what the hell were they thinking? Like, this is so stupid. What?
Yeah.
How did game designers sit in a meeting and come to this conclusion? Like, this is dumb. So it's going to be interesting when I hear that from other people about decisions that we made. You know, and hopefully there's not too many of them, knock on wood, but like, I'm
It's
sure
inevitable.
there's going to be things.
You can't make everybody happy. It's going to happen.
So it's going to be interesting to you know, how it makes me feel when that happens, where it's like, you know, you're hearing people roasting you about how could they possibly think this was a good idea, and then you're going to be thinking like, well, I mean, they don't consider so it's going to be fun to be on that side of it for once, and kind of hear what happens.
Yeah, you always know what you're thinking in the moment when you create something, but like, getting that outside perspective of someone who wasn't in the room when you were hashing out the best way to do something, sometimes getting a fresh perspective is really good too. Something else I'm like really excited for Godforge specifically is the normalized PvP system. And I know you can't go super into detail because you're probably still working on a lot of the details per se, but like when a lot of people say, "Well, why should I try this game when there's so many other games on the market?" This is always the one point I bring up is like they're planning to have some sort of normalized PvP to sort of level the playing field between like lessen the spending gap, so to speak. Um, is there anything further that you can share on this topic without getting in trouble from Dan?
Yeah, Dan, pause the video. Yeah, it's so a lot of people, when they play these games, we've done polling and stuff, and it ends up being like, oh, only like 8% of people really care about PvP a lot in this kind of game. And so what that leads you to think is like, okay, well, why should we even bother? But the thing is, it builds the community. And even if you don't really care about playing PvP, sometimes you want to watch your favorite creators playing against other people, or you want to watch people in the community face off against each other. And then that can bring more content and cultivate a community that's able to interact with each other in ways that isn't just, oh, I want to spend to do this. So that was a really important mechanic for us to bring, is we want there to be like, oh, Susie versus Chosen, like, let's go, like normal. And then, people to be able to vote on who's going to win, and people to be able to watch or get to watch some of the best performing players have an avenue to really learn the game besides just like wailing on their main account, and then be able to showcase those skills out there against other people in their clan or against their friends, or be able to do custom tournaments. So from the very onset, that was a mode that we really want to have as a calling card of our game for multiple ways for people to enjoy it.
Do you think we'll ever see a Godforge esport normalized PvP event?
It's something we've talked about internally, is at least maybe for like launch, is getting a few creators together to have none of this is guaranteed, but it's something we're discussing. I think it'd be a blast personally if we can pull it off to get a big event going, and get a big tournament bracket, and then watch creators or people in the community face off against each other in normalized PvP. For me, it'd be super cool. Can I guarantee we're going to pull it off and deliver that? Not yet, but it's definitely something we want to do for sure.
Well, if you do that, sign me up. I'm down. I'm so like I mentioned earlier, I come from a background in like Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone, so I'm really used to like that 1v1 like turn-based strategic PvP sort of. I mean, it is a PvP game. I don't know if people think about it as that, but it's literally like the entire game is player versus player, and it's actually I found a lot of parallels between Magic the Gathering and Raid when I first started, because I'm like an avid deck builder. Like building the deck to me is the most fun thing, and I found like building teams in Raid is kind of a very similar concept. So I really like the strategic nature of putting things together. So I'm so looking forward to the normalized PvP, because in my mind, like, yeah, anyone could spend, well, I guess not anyone could spend thousands of dollars, but potentially, if like someone could gain an unfair advantage and beat me, and it's like, okay, well, congrats, you spent more money on the game, but like if when it normalized PvP, it's going to be the ultimate like skill check.
Exactly.
And if you pull it off, if you design the mode well, it will hopefully, I'm hoping it leans way more towards skill, but that's something I look forward to trying to specialize. I'm already planning on making like that my content specialty for Godforge when it comes out.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Hearthstone, because I agree with you. One of my favorite experiences in gaming in PvP was like the draft phase in the arena of Hearthstone, where you got to pick 30 cards, and you're like, ooh, I got Fireball early, so now I need to build my deck this way, and you versus like two different runs might be completely different. And
Yeah.
I know it's something that we discuss is how can we bring that to this genre? How can we bring like that normalized PvP draft experience, that mechanic, into here, where like it's just content that you can play for fun, and build different rosters and build different teams. And we haven't ironed out all the details yet, but it's definitely something we want to try and pull off.
That's awesome. I don't play Magic every day, but I still watch people play on YouTube. Just I don't have time to play games as much anymore these days. But so I'll still like there's a professional Magic the Gathering player called LSV, and he does vintage cube drafts every day, and it's the same thing. He's opening a pack of cards, picking the best one, and he gets another pack passed to him, evaluates the pack based on the pick he just made versus what's available. He's making these reads, he's reading the draft, reading the table, just making all these strategic decisions, building his deck on the fly, and then he plays against other players who've done the same thing. I think it's wildly fascinating. Like the whole idea of drafting a team and playing it against somebody, it just the level of decision making and strategy on like in real time, it's just really exciting and compelling to me. So I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with.
Yeah, thanks. And how about you, Susie? Did you have any modes like that really caught your attention that you really liked in terms of a normalized or PvP or anything?
Yeah, I think for me, there was the only game that I've ever played that had normalized PvP, not just real-time arena, was Everlegion that I played it briefly. And that had a temporary event that was normalized PvP where it was completely random heroes that were thrown to you, and you had like a certain number. Like you were allowed to use so many points to build your deck, and each character had a different value based on their rarity and everything. And every round you get thrown new characters that you could either select them, and you could sell your other ones to replace them with. And then every round you'd also be able to grab a buff. And so like whoever the lowest seed was, like the worst person, would get the best first choice of a buff. And then it would go to like whoever was the highest ranked last. And it would continue throughout the rounds to where the person who had the disadvantage always got to pick first. And so it was a really cool way of doing it. I don't know. It was a weird mixture of, that selecting a good team that had good synergy because they had factions and you got to have bonuses based on having multiple people in the faction too. But then also choosing the right buffs, what you're hoping you're going to build as your team, but you don't even know what the game's going to show you. So you could choose a buff and then you don't get any of those heroes. And yeah, it was really clever. You could even refresh, but then it costs to refresh the hero choices. Like there were so many elements to that. I thought they did such a good job. The game itself was a hot mess and totally season-based and whatever and had no audience for many reasons. But that one thing was just so cool that I made a video on that a while ago. I don't even remember the name of it, but it was cool.
Sounds cool. I
Right,
played
I never
Legion
played
for
that one.
like 2 days.
Yeah.
I think
It
it
was
was
a
Ash who
temporary.
had a video about it, and it's like, all right, I'll try it out. And it's like, it's not for me.
Did you play AFK Journey? I know that was a new one
No, I never
recently.
did.
Yeah, I played that for about a week or so. I did enjoy the normalized PvP. I ended up getting like number 4 on my server, which I don't even know if that's good. Like my
That's
server could have
good.
been
That's
full of
good. Yeah.
noobs.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
like
good.
it's server based, so it's not like a global thing. So I don't know what my actual rank was compared to like everyone else who played the game. My server could have been full of noobs, like I don't know. Like is that good? I felt pretty proud of that because like, and what was cool is like I was like 3 days into the game when I hit rank 4, so it's like I'm playing against people who have well established accounts, but because it's normalized, anyone can come in and clean house if they understand the mechanics of the game. So I thought that was neat.
Yeah. So you're talking about Honor Duel, right?
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I played a lot. I got to a similar rank on my server. And I thought it was close. I didn't think it was great. I thought it was okay. But it's definitely something I wanted to play a lot just as a designer to see what's out there. So I got to, that's kind of like top 5, top 6 rank on my server. And yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a little bit too much RNG. It was like, but I liked how they got you into the action. They let you draft. They did definitely tried to kind of take advantage of some of those mechanics.
Yeah, I think the biggest flaw, in my opinion, with the AFK Journey Honor Duel was at the very start of the match, you have to pick this artifact, and it has a huge buff. But if you're not able to draft the characters that synergize with this artifact,
That's
then your team
Everlegion
sucks.
too. Yeah.
So it's like either you have to try to force the synergy and play subpar champions to fit the artifact that you picked, or just completely ignore it and just draft the best champions. And I found that neither of those strategies were winning strategies. So if you don't get the champions that align with this artifact thing that you pick, you're completely hosed.
Yeah, and for raid players, what he's talking about is it's kind of like in raid if you started an arena run and the artifact you get is like undead horde heroes take half damage. Well, if you don't get any undead horde heroes in your draft, you're like, okay, great. Well, I'm dead. I lose because like you have a worthless artifact and they don't. So yeah,
Yeah.
there was a lot of RNG. Now I would hope that we could strike a balance in our mode that's closer to Hearthstone, where like there is RNG. Obviously, that's impossible to avoid,
Yeah.
but you'll see in Hearthstone like the absolute best players in the world, they'll consistently have good arena runs. They're not going to go 0-3 10 times in a row. They're able to overcome some of the RNG and at least be consistently like higher ranked.
And you need variance, so the games feel different game to game. Like that's what makes these sort of modes appealing, is that not every single game is going to play out exactly the same. Having that variance is good. It's healthy. Like, you know, people like to play these games for hours and hours a day. If every single game plays out exactly the same, it gets boring and dull. So you do need that level of variance. I think it's important.
Yeah, multiple game modes and all that. Do you have anything that is like the biggest red flag or turn off on games in this industry, or one thing that's like the biggest green flag or something that would really make you want to play? Is there anything kind of in there that a raid really alienated me because of this, or I absolutely loved AFK Journey because of this? Is there anything like that we need to be aware of?
I don't know. Like for me, I think I don't know. I really enjoyed this. Sometimes there's like intangible things, like something will get on your nerves and you're not really sure what it is. You know, like I don't know if it's because Raid was just so damn grindy, and I grinded it every day, like 8 hours a day for months and months and months, and there's just never no end in sight. I don't know if that was why I got burnt out and had to quit, or like I don't know, is and or like I guess okay, corporate greed, I guess, when they're just like I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to say. In terms of like green flags, I would say, like, again, I mentioned it at the top of the podcast. It was just like, are your characters good? Is the combat good? And how is the customization? Like, if you can nail those three things, I think you're gonna do great. And also respect the players. Like that's a big one too. I never felt like Plarium respected their player base, and I think that's when you're already getting burnt out from the grind, and then they just pour salt in the wounds, like taking away the 5-star chicken and the sacred shard from the login calendar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
People never forgot.
Never forget. Never forget.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I feel like the reason I've quit games is more so related to reflection on the company than the game itself. Every time. Every time.
And I just want to say, speaking of like company and communication, you're doing a really good job as community manager so far, Susie.
Thank you. I'm trying.
As someone who's not only a Discord moderator, but in the content creator chat as well, you're doing a very good job communicating with us and all that stuff. So I'm already convinced that you guys are going to do a great job.
We're trying. Thank you.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because I've definitely seen it like as a player. I've seen studios try to be super transparent, and then it ends up just like backfiring, and they get a bunch of hate after something, so they say screw it. You know what? We're just not gonna bother communicating then. Like I play Age of Empires 4, and they barely communicate. They don't even bother because it's like, well, what's the point of us trying to interact on Reddit? We're just gonna get screamed at anyway. So then you see them go the opposite direction and clam up, but we're gonna try to cultivate that from the start of like because then you do see it work well like with Path of Exile. They communicate, and it's not like gamers hate them or are vicious. So I think if you do it from the start and you do it right and you treat the community like real people, I believe that it can work. But I've definitely seen some studios back themselves into a corner.
Respect is a two-way street.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Well, is there any like one thing I do like to ask people, is there any like as a gut reaction, you've probably heard me ask this before. Is there any hero that you really want in the game? Like someone's lore that you love?
Robin Hood. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, yeah, there you go. See? All right.
He had to.
Yeah, we'll write that down. Chalk that up as a vote.
My grandfather on my mother's side, his parents, so I guess my great grandparents, were like full blood Native American. I think it'd be really cool to see a Native American faction.
Oh,
And
yeah.
in that faction, it'd be cool if there were skinwalkers, because skinwalkers are a big part of the Native American lore. And it would be especially cool if there was a Sasquatch among the skinwalkers of the Native American, like that would be really cool to me. I would love to see that Sasquatch in the game.
You're totally right, because people keep talking about, oh, are we going to get some of these like urban legend type characters like Bigfoot and whatever, but that actually does tie into Native American culture. It's not just like some random whatever. It actually ties into the culture. And there's so many, like in the US alone, there's so many tribes with so much lore.
Do we
You go
know?
north, you go to like Alaska to Canada, down to South America. There's so many like native tribes. Yeah, I'm really
Susie,
curious
you know what are all the factions we've 100% confirmed publicly?
Yes.
Which ones
Yes,
is it? Sorry.
Avalon, Asgard, Aru, Kojiki, hold on, there's 6.
Oh, okay.
What did I
We've done 6. Okay.
There's 6.
Okay.
Svarga is the newest, and then what am I forgetting? Oh, no, that's Asgard. But I'm forgetting one. I say them out loud and I can't think of
Olympus?
them.
Olympian? Yeah.
Olympus. Yeah, there we go.
Cool. Okay. Well, I can confirm that's not all of them. So, you
Might be something in one of the Americas, maybe.
Yeah, we definitely
One of them. There's a lot of Americas, though.
When you dive into the, because one thing people have wondered is like, oh, geez, are you gonna have enough heroes to produce, like the level of raid where they've got 600 plus heroes and all that? And it's like, I always tell people we have the opposite problem. Like there's so many
to cover.
amazing cultures and cool myths and legends that I think we're gonna have the opposite problem of people being like, are you kidding me? So and so is not in the game. They're amazing. And what I always tell people is, hey, live ops. So we definitely want to do events and add more heroes to the game and more factions and all that. So even if you don't see something that you view as an amazing myth, there is probably a point where we can consider adding that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people link some really crazy ones in the Discord, like a monster that has an eyeball where its ass is, like stuff like that. I was like, what? All right.
There's some weird stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, also, well, I appreciate you joining, Adam. Is there anything that you want to grill us on before we start to kind of wrap up? I know you as on the other side of it as a creator, is there anything that we didn't get to answer that you would really want to know based on the stuff you've seen right now, and we can try to answer as best we can?
I think everything else that I was going to ask, you're probably not in a position to answer, but I'll take one more shot. So in the demo, we saw chaos and order. And in my last video, I determined that it's not tied to faction. I believe, obviously, because if you just look at the Kojiki faction, it was Kunoichi was chaos and Musashi was order. So I began to speculate that perhaps these are hero alignments. And sort of like Dungeons and Dragons, you have like, chaotic good, chaotic evil, and there's like this whole spectrum. So what I'm wondering is, do these alignments have an impact on gameplay? So like my assumption is that like if you have like 5 chaos heroes, you get a bonus, or if you have 5 order heroes on your team, you get some sort of bonus. Is there anything you can sort of share with us about these alignment, this alignment feature?
Yeah, I would say you're pretty close to our current thoughts, and it's a good pickup of yours on noticing that. We haven't ironed out obviously the exact mechanics of how, like, what the bonuses will be, what the synergies will be, and all that. But yes, that system will affect gameplay in some capacity. I can't tell you how minor or how major, but yes, like that will be something to consider. When building teams for certain content and certain synergies and things that you want to take advantage of and diversifying your roster and all that, it will be a mechanic in the game you consider for sure.
Cool. Very cool. I think that's pretty much everything on my list that I got to ask. So
awesome. Well then, Susie, is there anything you wanted to chat about, or before we wrap up, or anything, or that we didn't get to touch base on or ask Adam or anything?
I guess I just want to say thank you, Adam, for being such a valued member. I can't talk. A valued member of the community already. You've been really wonderful, and you were one of the first to make a Godforge video. I honestly think so. We just
Before the
wanted to
game
say
even had a
thank
name.
you. Yeah, exactly. And what's next for Adam? What's next for you? Or
Yeah, let people know what you're up to, Adam.
continuing?
Good call, Susie. Yeah, good call.
Currently, I'm taking a small break from Raid Shadow Legends. I'm feeling a little burnt out, but eventually I'll get back to making my free-to-play Rares Only Plus series when I'm feeling it again. The last weekend, I began my Watcher of Realms journey. I had a little fun
You
learning
got to
that
zero.
game.
I'm sorry.
What's that?
You got to zero first. I'm sorry.
Zero. I guess I don't know what that means.
It's okay. I'll tell you later.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I was just, it was fun just trying to figure out the game and playing it on stream. A lot of people were helping me out, telling me that I pulled a really good hero apparently. So I don't know.
Dolores, I saw.
Oh yeah. So,
Yeah,
that's
Susie's
it.
the expert on Watcher of Realms.
Yeah, I was having some trouble getting OBS to capture my game screen, so I actually messaged her for some technical support while I was live on stream. And
Change the capture method to Windows 10 and up instead of default or whatever.
Oh, is that?
Okay, because
There
I
you
had the
go.
exact same trouble when I was trying to stream AFK Journey. It just
Yep.
wouldn't capture my game.
Yep.
Okay.
So
I'll look
it'll
into that.
say like capture method. You just gotta hit a drop down menu and hit Windows 10 and above or whatever.
Okay.
DC life, man. There's always something.
Yeah.
Brad coming
okay.
in with the tech support.
Yep, exactly. Well, hey, Adam, and Susie as well. Thanks for joining for the discussion. It was a blast, and I'm sure you'll be around the community, and we'll be excited to continue to hear your thoughts. And we will link to Adam's content down below. He's going to be doing the Godforge videos and the speculation and covering the game. We're excited to see how it comes along for you. So, cheers, and we will see you soon in the next Fateless podcast episode. Later.